Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 9th episode of OB Talkwire. Once again, you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, wherever it may be. And today we do have a special guest on the OB Talkwire, the crossover of a century, as I love to call it. Yes, better crossover than Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, better crossover than any other show you'd see, better crossover than Billy Mandy Candy. This is the biggest crossover of a century right here between the Luke Pipala Show and OB Talkwire, as Luke Pipala, the host of the Luke Pipala Show, comes on to the podcast, and we have a great conversation over here where we talk a little bit about his football career later on in the episode, some stories about where he's been in past football games at Ursuline, and funny ones too about Chardon. All that's going to be on. We're going to talk a little political stuff, and yes, we don't like the end of politics much, but we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on kind of around the world and everything that's really been happening and what should happen, what shouldn't happen. And we're also going to be talking about his podcast and how he got started on his podcast, what it was like, why he wanted to get started and all that, and just everything else that we're going to be going into the topic. It's going to be a great conversation that I'm going to have here with Luke Pipala. Got to thank once again LP Money, Luke Pipala, for coming on the show. Talking a little bit as well about his landscaping company, because that's growing too. But without further ado, let's get on with the podcast. Welcome everyone here to the OB Talkwire episode 9, and tell you what right now, besides the little technical difficulties that's been a little bit on our end trying to figure everything out, because again, I got a new setup for this one. It's actually back at my brother's place. I know his first episode when I was with him didn't have that, but we did a little remodeling in the house, would you say, in this room, and we brought on the host of the Luke Pipala Show. So it's like a crossover episode. LP Money, aka Luke Pipala. Thank you for coming on, sir.
Thank you for having me, my friend. It's been pretty good. Like you said before, technical difficulties, but your brother's been nothing short of
he's my producer. He's like my free producer.
He's been fantastic. I am wearing shorts. This is not my skin. I'm not nude under there. If anybody was questioning why does it look like that, but it's an honor to be on. It's an honor to be on a podcast that I'm not hosting. It's great.
So you, real quick, podcast that you're hosting. So what's your podcast called once again? The Luke Pipala Show?
The Luke Pipala Show. You can find it anywhere. New episodes as of now are only coming out on YouTube.
No, you don't do it on Spotify or Anchor?
I have it on Spotify and Anchor, but it's produced now. We have a studio. Right now, we're just trying to get everything on YouTube first, and then all the audio stuff after.
Yeah, I mean, I have this on YouTube too. I have it on. Do you have yours on Apple Podcasts?
Everything, anywhere you can find.
Mine's on Apple Podcasts too, so I didn't know if yours was Apple Podcasts. Mm-hmm. But we talked a little bit off the air with technical difficulties and all that stuff. And we talked a little bit about your business, because before that, I don't know if you were working today or if it was a day off.
Yeah, so usually we don't work on Sundays. It's my brother and I. We own the business. We just got our LLC in early May. We cut grass, lawn care, landscaping, pretty basic stuff, mulching, rockland. We trim bushes, hedges, trees to a certain extent in terms of height. We do some stone work, but we don't really like to advertise it. And anything else you could really think of in terms of landscaping. I don't like working for people. My brother doesn't like working for people either. And we come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My grandpa, he had a financial planning company for 30 plus years. He sold that company, and now he helps different business owners exit their business, in terms of selling it or passing it down to their children. He helps them with that. My mom has owned her own travel agency for the better part of 25 years before I was born, so she's been doing that. My aunt has a human resources business that she owns, plus she runs a nonprofit. It's called Moab House right here. That's the shirt. Basically what it does is they try to raise money for foster children that after they turn 18 for somewhere for them to go. So it all goes to that, which is a great cause. It's been in business for it's the second year. So yeah, my uncle ironically also has a business. He prints a bunch of stuff from shirts to wrapping cars. He did the Struthers police cars. He does a bunch of stuff. So signs, everything, billboards.
Oh, that's pretty sweet, though. I mean, I might need some for the show coming up, too.
Yeah, bro. That's where we got our shirts, actually, for our business, ironically.
Get a little merch that says OB Talkwire, a little bit of flames and all that stuff. I think that'd be pretty fun.
It would sell, too.
Yeah.
I have stuff on my podcast Instagram. It says merch. It's just like a concept. The only merch that's in circulation right now is a hoodie that I have. It's the only one. It's just it's just a prototype.
Really? So what do you so only a prototype. What other merch are you going to try and get out there in the future for the Luke Pipala show?
So what I want to have is I made a new logo. It's not on the cover yet. Basically, my logo now.
It's you. It's going to be on the wallpaper too. I love your cover.
Yeah.
Just talk about what it is.
So awesome. It was the night 2020. Prime COVID lockdown time back then.
Wait, this was where the pandemic was big, or was
when it was huge, and it was University Edge, YSU campus. For everybody that doesn't know what University Edge is, and it was a big party. This had to have been 500 people in the courtyard, right? And so this was a thing for about an hour and a half. Literally everybody was there. After that, it got shut down. People had to run inside. So there were all these individual parties in these individual apartments. So you go one by one, hallway through hallway. There were just people. Yeah. It was crazy. Anyway, I met a bunch of people, but there were these 4 girls that I met at the time and took a picture. It's me in the center. And then 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and I just put black in their eyes so you kind of conceal their identity, I guess.
But I mean, they would probably, I imagine people would still see what they look like just by the way their face shape is.
Yeah,
and their body too.
Yeah. I had one of the girls come up to me at a YSU football game. Ironically, this was last year when I started out, because I've been doing this for almost a year now. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm on the cover." I was like, "No way!" No. I couldn't recognize. I don't know.
You forgot her name, right?
No, I don't know what any of those girls' names are, ironically. But it was fun. I have a different cover that's in the works. It's on my YouTube. It's me. So you know the creation picture. So you have God, and he's reaching down. It was the painting by Michael.
Yeah.
And then you have Adam.
That's your YouTube.
Yeah, you have Adam. Adam's reaching up.
That's your. Oh,
I just cropped my face onto Adam, and yeah, I have a little on YouTube. It's the gay pride flag covering the cartoon genitalia.
You're so controversial because this show is I don't want to go into censorship. I'm not a censored guy, but I kind of get around the PG-13 one. I mean, you've seen a lot of my episodes so far, right? And I know you listen to them a lot when you work out.
Yeah. I listened to the one with Coach Kemp when I was working out. I listened to Patty Lynch when I was working out, and T. the Punter when I was working out as well.
Yeah, I feel like the one with Patty Lynch was again, they put us in Bliss Hall, so there was some sound.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stuff's gonna happen when you're starting out. I mean, obviously you're a brand new podcast, or at least the one on YouTube is a brand new podcast. So technical difficulties they're very common.
Oh, of course, always. Technical difficulties are the worst, though.
Yeah,
they're just the worst.
Right now, my podcasts are fully produced, so now I don't really have to do any of the editing, which is nice. But my producer, we run into a lot of issues with the sound and stuff like that, and so he always says I have to clap or do something to sync the sound up.
Nice little.
Yeah, something like that. And he edits it out and stuff like that after the fact, but just to get the sound synced up, it's huge.
So before podcaster, you were a football player just like me. We played on the same team, actually.
We did for a year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the high school football season once again is around the corner.
Listen, football, that's my favorite sport. In my opinion, there's nothing better than football in the fall. Fall is also my favorite season, ironically. It's perfect. So I feel like summer, especially now, in recent years too, it's been more intolerable in terms of the heat. With humidity, I mean, we work outside every day now. We didn't years ago, so I don't know if it's a biased take, but I just feel like the fall, especially cool autumn nights, the seasons are changing. The trees are just filled with so many different colors. It's a beautiful time. I mean, there's nothing better, in my opinion. Pumpkin spice, especially if you have a girl at the time, bro, there's nothing better than being in a relationship in the fall. Man.
Until she starts asking for a little too much, right?
Listen, that's going to come.
But nothing that the CMP lawn care can handle.
Yeah, it's going to come, but there's really nothing better than a girl that you really register with on an emotional level. A girl that's right for you, bro, in the fall, there's nothing better.
I'd imagine so. Go to a couple Browns games and all that stuff. If he's a Browns fan.
Honestly, like we don't even have to do that.
Go like Cedar Point.
Yeah, I'm not a big roller coaster guy.
Neither am I, but I mean, I'd just like to go see stuff.
Like, no, definitely. I'm talking about like local stuff. So like White House in the fall, that's an automatic dub.
And you know, for a date, you got to take her to Wedgwood Pizza.
Wedgwood Pizza? I'm not a Wedgwood guy.
Well, by the way, R.I.P. Fernando.
Yeah,
top story right there.
I never really knew him. I know you said off the air that you worked for him.
Yeah, he was. So I worked for him, and of course he was my boss on Wedgwood. And good guy, but tell you what, when he got mad at you. He got mad at me a bunch of times, like, because again, thick Italian accent. Because he's from Italy.
Oh, also. Really?
Like literally from Franco, Italy, I think it's or something like that. He was from. So thick Italian accent, and he would say all this stuff, and I was just like, I need my translator or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is saying. All I can say is like, watch me, or like, you see here. So he would say that, but that's about it. Like there was, but again, that's like the goat of people say Youngstown, but I won't say honestly the goat of Austintown and maybe even Ohio. Because here's the thing about Youngstown, and you could probably relate over here because you live in Boardman. You know what I mean? Township of Youngstown, not technically Youngstown. Youngstown doesn't have a lot of business, quote unquote. All the businesses come from like their regionals, like that are around here.
I see what you're saying, like the suburbs, like Boardman, the Canfield,
Austintown, Liberty,
Niles, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
And people have been, even I've been asking, like, how many more businesses are we going to get here in Youngstown? I mean, okay, we got Chipotle over here. Okay, we got a couple food places. But, like, there's not going to be a mall in Youngstown, you know what I mean? Because, again, high taxes in Youngstown, you know what I mean?
Well, geographically, you can't really have a mall in Youngstown just because all the land's really taken up. In terms of
apartments.
Apartments and houses. We're on the west side. I feel like the west side is the best side, in my opinion. Definitely. Would you even consider this Youngstown? I don't know.
No, I would.
Borderline Austintown, Youngstown.
It's so where I live in the west side, actually, it's in between like a lot of things. It could be in between. It could be like Austintown, takes like 10 minutes. Niles, if you go on the highway, 20 minutes. Boardman, 20 minutes, like not even 20, like maybe like 13, 14 minutes. Probably to like Market Street where the mall is like 15. Howland and Warren, probably like 20 to 25-ish. Howland's like 20. So, I mean, where I live, it's like, dude, you're in between everything. Well, for you, living in Boardman, if you say, like, for some reason they go to Niles, it'd probably take you like 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
It's a good 30, 35 minutes going to a scrapper. I went to Scrappers game recently. It took about 30, 35 minutes. Yeah.
So, like, for me, that would be probably like 19 or 20. You know what I mean? So, so when you live in between, like, all these areas, it's cut down in half.
Yeah, definitely. But going back to your question, or when you were talking about having a mall in Youngstown, I don't know if necessarily it makes sense. Like I said before, one, because there's not a lot of land other than like where the steel mills were. And two, malls kind of work in like suburban areas where things are more spread out, when people are always on the go. I mean, traditionally in cities, everything was in one place. So you're going from your house back to the city, and then weekends, there's different bars and churches and stuff like that. But in terms of like going different places to shop, you never really used to have that, I feel like. You see pictures downtown of like the 40s to 50s. My grandpa has a bunch of pictures in his building. It's like all of these pop-up shops, different corners. They had trolleys, stuff like that. Like it was packed because everybody went there. That was before like suburban areas were really developed. You didn't have like places like Boardman, Canfield, Poland. I mean, you had them, but you didn't have all these newer developments where houses made the 70s, 80s. Like I think my house was made in the 70s, like my neighborhood. That's when everything was constructed. But as you had this growth to the suburbs, all this, I don't even know what you call it. This is an economic term. And I'm a business major. I should know.
Business major.
We'll call it urbanization or urban sprawl. When everybody moves out, that's what you have, and as a result, people move from the city.
You go on top of your business major too. I feel like college now, if you're not like education or business, then college is like a waste of time.
I would say it's a waste of time for a business major too.
Really?
Yes, 100%. I've learned so much more running my own business with my brother than I've ever learned in the Williamson College business.
Really?
That's
not good.
I'm not a fan of Youngstown State at all for education. This is not a knock on Youngstown State. I think they have a great engineering program. Used to be an engineering major before COVID hit, but COVID helped me realize a lot of things, and it helped me realize I'm not an engineer. I took introductory physics class, and I couldn't pass. It was terrible.
God.
So that's how I knew I'm not going to be able to like design a bridge if I can't pass.
Also, we kind of got maybe put a little blame on high school for saying that they're not good. College is important and all that stuff. Well, really, I've known so many people that like went to college and successful, but so many people that didn't go to college and successful that are like successful now.
Yeah.
Like for example, we go back to Fernando.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was even like passing the third grade or something like that, and he became a pizza owner. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I feel like that's because like nowadays our culture, we put such an emphasis on having a college degree. But like, you don't need a college degree to own a business, to run a business. It was so easy back then, I feel like, for the immigrants that literally came off the boat. For one, child labor laws weren't really a thing, so you could work at a much younger age. You could get a better feel of like what a business really was. And on top of that, like there weren't all these regulations and stuff like that that would prevent you from, achieving your goals of running a business.
Definitely not.
I don't know of people personally real well, but I know of from like hearing stories and stuff like that in media of, for example, let's say the nursing industry, how they typically have a 4-year degree. But even though they have all the experience necessary for like a pay raise at getting a higher paid job or a position that they all have all the experience for, but they need a master's degree instead of a bachelor's degree. So that's when the college system just gets you.
Yeah, I would hate being a nurse or a doctor in college, just because again you think you're done, then you have 4 more years.
Yeah.
Then you have another few years, then another, until like you get all the way there. You know what I mean?
That's an industry that I feel like they don't make enough. Yeah. Teachers, I feel like they don't make enough as well.
Oh no, I'm a substitute teacher, dude. Substitute teaching for my age isn't bad, but like, dude, what some of these have to deal with, like all the city and all that stuff, it's like.
Yeah, and they do get paid more when they work in the city. I know a teacher that I used to have back in grade school. She worked at our private school.
Where is it? Borman?
St. Charles.
St. Charles. Mm-hmm. So Borman, right?
Yeah, and she was a brand new teacher when I was in 7th grade. And she told us she was making something like $40,000, but she was talking about teachers, people that she knew, that she either went to school with or was just friends with prior, that were making around 70 in Youngstown City. So it really does change.
And then that moved to 120. Now, Catholic school, because I subbed there like once a week too. That's for sub, it's like $70 as well. So it's like, again, that's just the diocese.
Yeah. I feel like different dioceses, they pay differently. Yeah. Obviously, our area, we don't have a large population. I think the population of Youngstown's in the 60.
Yeah, it diminished so much.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a couple reasons for that. So one, people, when the steel mill shut down, obviously jobs.
Back in 77.
Mm-hmm, when jobs went elsewhere, I feel like a good chunk of people, obviously, like everybody says, moved elsewhere out of the state or to different cities in the state. But I feel like we don't give a lot of credit to the people that moved to the suburbs. Yeah. Because like I said before, those places were underdeveloped. It was mostly woods or cornfields. You know what I mean? It was a few amount of houses in comparison to what they have today. Today it's much developed since then. It's a 50-year period. I mean, my gosh. But yeah, there's that too that I feel like not a lot of people talk about. And they say, oh, everybody left, Youngstown. I feel like no, everybody didn't.
They just went to the suburbs, the townships.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Liberty, Borman. I think more so Borman than Liberty, obviously, because you have a lot more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Niles. Mm-hmm. Niles, you have the Eastwood Mall, of course.
Austin Town. Just got a Chick-fil-A. They're big time now.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I love that Chick-fil-A just because everyone goes to, to the Borman when it's packed. Chick-fil-A's line at Austin Town. I've been in that line probably twice. I've had to probably wait like maybe 2-3 minutes. It's not packed at all.
That's interesting. And I don't go to Chick-fil-A a lot, but when I do, I feel like I'm only in that line for a good 6 minutes or so. Even the Borman one, because they had it down to a science. Yeah. It like, to your credit, it looks really long, but they're with it. Yeah. I
think Borman feels a little longer.
Yeah, definitely. Just because the line. I haven't been.
Just because also it's 224. There's a lot more people in 224 than in that Austin Town part of the road, right where Walmart and all that stuff is. You know what I mean?
It's a janky Walmart, to say the least.
Wait, the one in Austin Town or Borman?
The one in Borman. And they say it's Poland, but it's Boardman. I feel like the highway 680 separates Boardman from Poland. But I don't know. When we were in high school, we would go to Walmart for fun because after eating, it's either drugs and heroin, or you go to Walmart. There's not really a lot to do. I mean,
drugs.
Seriously, I mean, it's the truth.
So why not Target? Something that's like
Target's usually closed around 9.
Well, no, they're close around 10 or 11. I think now.
But back then,
back then, Walmart was 24/7.
Pre-COVID,
pre-pandemic.
So we would do a lot of things. And my friends I used to hang out with now, or then I really don't hang out with now. Everybody's just busy and stuff like that. But we would get air horns, set off the air horns. Just typical high school stuff. My one friend would get like those plastic bouncy balls that have in a little thing. He'd throw it over the aisle. It was just stuff like that. We always pick it up. Obviously, I'll be respectful. We got kicked out of Target one time.
What happened with that one?
Honestly, we didn't even do anything wrong. We were just being a little bit loud, and I feel like the workers could sense that something was about to happen. So they escorted us out. They said, "You have to leave." And it was like, "Okay, what are we going to do?" So,
who escorted you out? Was it a girl or a guy?
It was a woman.
Now I know you're. Look, I've seen your snaps. I know you're big on moms. And stuff like that. I know you're big on that. So was it a mom? What's the first name? That escorted you out?
This lady? Nah, she seemed like she was late 20s, early 30s.
Okay, so could still be a mom. What do you think about it?
I mean, yeah. It's just listen. I don't. How do I say this? I don't make it a secret. I love older women.
Nothing wrong with that. Older women are the best, dude. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Right now in my life,
they're more mature. I feel like is what they are. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Right now in my life, I'm not actively looking for a girl. Period.
I thought you were in a relationship. No.
Mm-mm. No.
So wait, the girl with lashes that we talked about on your podcast, that was your ex, right? Or
I don't even like the term ex. We were just talking for a brief couple months or anything like that. I just like saying like girl I used to date, because when I hear the word ex, it's like, oh, you're just bringing attention to the past relationship. Yeah. I don't know. For girls or guys, they say, oh, my ex is here. It's just weird.
My ex is at O'Donnell's right now partying.
Yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. If I'm ever talking about a girl I used to date, I just say girl I used to date. Nothing major. I feel like when you say ex, you're bringing so much emphasis to it. Yeah, and it feels like you're still attached to that for whatever reason. Like
the guy doesn't, usually use the term ex though. It's usually the girl that uses. I feel like ex a lot.
To all the girls like that, I've only had 2 legit relationships where I had a girlfriend.
I only have 1, so
it's all good, bro.
It's honestly better when you don't have any.
Well, I don't know.
There's some. I mean, money wise and stuff like that. You know what I mean? When you're trying to save up, definitely.
Definitely, but I feel like I don't know, when you're picky. It's harder to find people. Like, it's terrible for me. I've been catfished like 5-6 times out here.
Really?
It's tough.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, and that's just because like.
Wait, catfished by what are we talking about? Like their profile pic, like a picture on Tinder, or what are you talking about?
So I don't go on Tinder. I haven't done that yet. But in terms of like just Instagram, I like shooting my shot. That's one of my hobbies. I'm unapologetic when it comes to shooting my shot.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
a lot of people shoot their shot in the DMs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like,
and some you succeed, some you get turned down. Right?
Yeah, you just got to put yourself out there, and you can't be afraid to fail. I went through my whole life like that. I'm not afraid to fail. So through anything, you just have to stand firm and just shoot. You have to have your elbow lined up.
You have to be like Steph Curry,
and you have to hold the follow through.
You have to be like Kyrie Game 7. And
exactly.
2016.
Exactly. You have to be clutch. So typically I don't know, it varies time to time. But usually I do because I try to work to get the Snapchat. I'm 21. I'm not 30. So I'm not exactly mature in this game. I don't have a dating app or anything like that. But I base it all off Instagram. That, like, in terms of like social media, trying to get the girl on social media, go out with the girl on social media. And so, I end up getting the Snapchat, getting her number, we go out and pick her up, or I meet her, and she looks completely different.
Really?
And it's like,
they were all like of age, though, right? There weren't any that were skeptical.
Oh no! Everybody was the same age as me for that entire time.
That's good.
I don't really like to go under. I've only went in terms of dating or hanging out with a girl.
I think you said on your show, like 19ish or something like that.
It's only been I was 20, ironically, back then. But it's only a year. I only go a year under. That's about the max. Because I feel weird because my brother's 2 years older or younger than me rather, And I feel like if I was to date a girl or hang out with a girl that was like the same age as my brother, it would feel odd. So I've never gone lower than a year. What's your
it's around
your year?
19.
Okay.
I mean, if they're like 18 to 19 in college, there's something wrong with that. But if it's like 19 or over, then I think it's perfectly fine. You know what I mean?
So in terms of like the gap between your age and her age, what would that be then? Because what are you? You're 23.
Yeah. Well, my brother and his girlfriend, you know, they have a kid, and the girlfriend's about 4 years younger. I want to say. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Again,
Yeah.
And I know people say, oh, you know, talk all that stuff, but as long as I feel like if you're mature, it'll be better. Now, if you're not mature, obviously that's a problem. But if you're mature in the situation, I feel like there's nothing wrong with it.
Listen, my grandma, she is, or was rather, because my grandpa died before I was born. But they were 9 years apart. He was 9 years older than her, so like, and that was bad. She was an immigrant from Poland, so like that was back in the day. She might have been 19, and I think he was 28. But like 4 kids, they were married the entirety of their lives after they got married. They never separated or anything like that.
That's cool.
He died of lung cancer, I believe 2000, or maybe it was 1999, but they were together obviously that whole time. And from what I hear, they loved each other very much. So like, I don't think there's anything wrong with like having an age gap.
No, it's just if you go way under 18, then like you have a problem right there.
Yeah.
Even if it's like you just want to be mature about it, there's still a problem with that.
Yeah, I knew back in high school, I knew of friends or people that were friends with my friends, girls, that would be 16 dating a guy who was 24.
You ever see that TikTok? Like, bro, focus on your major, not your minor.
Yeah. That's funny. I've never actually seen
it's
that.
on TikTok. Maybe you'll find it if it hits your viewer page. But one of them's like, bro, focus on your major, not your minor.
That's I don't really go on TikTok anymore. Because originally, okay, so
I heard there's a video. Does your podcast talk about that too?
I have an episode a couple episodes, ironic, where it comes up. But it was this whole thing. So after COVID, when I changed my major, I just changed it from mechanical engineer to business major. And I feel like, for me, COVID, it worked. Because it allowed me to really think like what I actually wanted to do in my life. Did I want to be like a normal person for the rest of my life? Or did I actually want to do what I actually wanted to do? I'll put it in a different way, because I don't know if that might have been like a bad way to explain it. I have always felt that like I was not destined, but like I was meant for something different. Like I say, like my family, I come from a bunch of entrepreneurs. Like that's true, but like none of them are like known countrywide or like worldwide. And I know like that's not like a common thing. Like there's like such a small percentage of people that are known, but I feel like I've always wanted to have influence, and I've always wanted to be known for a good reason. And so I felt like this, not calling, but like when COVID was going on, to like pursue different ways to like make people laugh. And I feel like eventually I thought that TikTok would be a good idea. And so I'd make TikToks stitch. So I'd react to like stuff, or I'd make TikToks like make people laugh. And eventually a couple got flagged. I had to appeal them. I won most. But like,
wait, so why did they get flagged? Do you know the reason why they got flagged?
A couple reasons. So I would like react to
was it like anything political, because this was during the election?
No,
or all that?
I don't get political like that. I don't think a lot of politics is funny. I think politics is very interesting, don't get me wrong, but I don't think anything political is funny, because you see all the late night talk show hosts, that's their lane. You know, they make all the political jokes. You see right now they're making jokes about Biden too, ironically,
so surprisingly.
Yeah, but
not as much as who was in office before, but
I mean, Trump gave them a lot to make fun of, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like they overdo it so much that like people who are actually looking for messages or like entertainment, the real entertainment, they're not looking for that, because like that's being overused. So if they find people that like talk about stuff that's taboo, talk about stuff that like normal people aren't talking about, then it's more interesting and they're more apt to view your stuff. So I would make fun of like people that I felt like were asking for like attention on TikTok. I would like react to like girls, I don't know, that were kind of clout chasing, guys that were kind of clout chasing. I would get flagged, like I said, appealed most, won most of the appeals. And then I was on a live one day because I heard that, or I watched on a YouTube video that as soon as you post on TikTok, you have to go live. and that'll like increase your viewership. So I said a couple things, and probably after I said the one thing, after 3.5 seconds.
What did he say real quick? It'd be it could be a little clean, a little dirty over here, as long as it's not like a bunch of like 4 F-bombs in a row or something.
Okay,
so the best way you can.
Oh my gosh, nothing's dirty. So people would comment on your live, right? Yeah. And so the first question, they asked a couple questions, because I said, ask me a question. You want to engage with people. I don't know. I wanted to become like an influencer and go that way.
Yeah, but there's so many like a-holes there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get bothered by that. I feel like
for no reason too.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the internet. So the first question was, do you support the LGBTQ community? And I'm like, of course.
Of course.
I love those people. Those people are great. And then the second one was like, how old are you? And I said 20 at the time. Third one was like, what's your heritage? I was like, oh, okay. So I went through everything, right? My parents did a Ancestry.com thing. So obviously I knew Polish and Italian. I was half traditionally. Then I found out I was Sardinian, Ashkenazi Jew, Finnish, South Asian. And then I said, but for the love of God, I wish I was just 1% black. I still do. I don't think that's a knock. I think that's a show of paying homage. So you know what I mean?
Real quick, you want to know a funny thing?
Go ahead.
So we were actually looking through files. My mom was one time, and apparently her family is the Celios. Okay, Italian family. So apparently on the Celio side, there was like they did have African American relatives.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. So I mean, I could go around possibly saying I was in fact some percentage black out there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a knock on anybody who's black.
I feel like that's a good tribute right there, because it's like you don't recognize that, especially at the time when how controversial skin color was, like back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's a really good tribute for them.
Racial tension was like really bad in 2020.
Yeah.
But like growing up, I was all into. I really loved the NBA, and in particular, I knew everything about the NBA. No, not really so now. I mean, the only thing I pay attention to, like I said, is football. But like all my heroes back then just happened to be black. I mean, just luck of the draw.
And I think the fact is, the African American players are better than the white players. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like stats wise, just athleticism wise, they're better. You know what I mean? That's not a knock on anyone that's from color. Like I don't. If you're Jeremy Lin, like you know what I mean, that's not a knock on you. Like I'm just saying, stats wise, it's like a fact. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And even today, bro, like there's so many business owners, leaders, in like comedians, for example. I look up to Dave Chappelle. I look up to Kevin Hart. Like the Chris Rock. I look up to those guys because like the way that they could just like craft their jokes in such a supreme fashion. Like Dave Chappelle he's the best storyteller ever.
Dave Chappelle now has to watch out because so many people want to tackle him on stage. It's like ridiculous.
I don't think that's right. I don't think any of that's right. You see, in America, what you have is freedom of speech still.
Quote unquote freedom of speech.
Traditionally, you should have freedom of speech. So going back to the 60s, the ACLU would defend neo-Nazis, like people that were utterly, blatantly, using the N-word, all these racial slurs against black people, and all these Jewish people, people of Chinese descent, whatever the case was, because even if it's harmful speech, if it's not inciting violence, you still have freedom of speech. So the only way to combat bad speech is with good speech. You can't just shut down people no matter how bad the speech is. As long as it's not directly calling for violence, that's your right. So, I mean, now, obviously, you see what's happening. He got attacked on stage a couple months ago. Chris Rock got attacked on stage like 5.
Will Smith. Yeah, Will Smith slapped.
Yeah.
Chris Rock.
That was entertaining. It was something for people to talk about for like a good month.
Yeah.
Had a bunch of moms. Gosh, whatever. But
keep my wife's name out of your mouth.
Yeah. But that was interesting.
That's quote of all time.
But I feel like I don't know. I saw, obviously, you saw the way like his wife looked at him. He thought the joke was funny.
But Jada's controlling. I feel like Jada Smith's a controlling lady.
I can't really speak for them. Obviously, we don't know what goes on in their home. But I feel like, after that, for whatever the reason, he just.
And apparently, there's accusations where Jada Smith was accused of cheating on Will Smith too. So.
Oh, she definitely did.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that's a whole other thing. I
don't
know.
Yeah, and again, though, both of them make money, so it's like they probably don't even care at this point. It's like, because the more you make money, you can pay everything. Like, you know what I mean? Don't end up really broke and all that. So
yeah, don't get me wrong though. I feel like the more money you make, there's a better chance you're unhappy. Because think about it, like I've already prepared for it now. I'm not saying I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm not saying I'm going to become famous or anything like that. But like in the event that it happens, you have to really insulate yourself with like who you hang out with, who you're around. When your podcast takes off, there's going to be a lot of people that are suddenly going to look for you for either money, for clout, for just to be around you, be in a quote unquote posse, because they want to be around success. People that you haven't talked to in maybe handful of months or even years. People that are just going to come around all of a sudden like, hey, what's up? Remember we were friends in freshman year.
Boys and stuff like that.
We had biology together in 8th grade, like that. And you have to be really careful about who you surround yourself with. And you have to make sure you see through them, like what their actual intentions are.
I feel like some group messages on like some of my podcasts and all they reply with is like head or something, stupid like that, like silly.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like weird stuff like that. Let's say fantasy football chat room. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's not against them, but it's just like, guys, come on over here. It's like, and something that actually say, they like the podcast stand, which is good. They like especially like the Kemp one. That's been their favorite.
That was my favorite one.
Just because that one, and again, I had to go through a lot. Kind of like with that one, we had it planned, for a month. Mm-hmm. So you had to make sure, he was still okay with it and all that.
Of course.
You had to make sure because, again, he was quote unquote resigned from Ursuline. We all know what happened. He had to, so I had to ask him, hey, can we talk about this? Is this okay? He's like, yeah, we can talk about that if you want to. I'm cool with it. So I was like, okay, let's talk about it.
I don't know if when we talked about him briefly, if that was the footage that was cut or not because of technical difficulties. But I love that man.
Oh, one of the best guys of all time.
He's
in the Trumbull County coach, Trumbull County Sports Hall of Fame.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm. Just got inducted.
No way. How long ago?
Not too long ago, actually. It was so I texted one of the friends, good old friend and stuff like that. Shout out Tom Jones, by the way. That's who it was. But he's close with the Kemps and stuff like that, close with the Suns. And I basically said, we were talking about how I want shout out Cole, by the way, because you still want Cole Peterson from Indiana, assistant coach. But I wanted him on, Coach Phillips, maybe on from YSU. And I said, hey, I got Larry. And he was all shocked. He's like, that's awesome. He just got inducted to the Trumbull County Sport Hall of Fame. I didn't even know about that. I was texting him earlier if you wanted to call on my podcast too and all that, like Coach Kemp. And then I had to text him back after that and say, hey, congrats, I heard you were inducted into the Trumbull County Sport Hall of Fame.
I'll have to text him after this. I haven't talked to him since, it was pre-COVID.
I try and keep in touch with a lot of those guys. You know what I mean? He helped me out through my career and stuff like that. That's kind of like where I ended up working with, YSC football, staying around with Ursuline for a little bit, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And doing the YSN stuff too. So doing the broadcasting. Mm-hmm. So.
I feel like for you, since you're kind of not mostly, but it's kind of geared towards sports and stuff like that, your connections and stuff like that you've already made are huge, especially through YSU, because some people have transitioned, for example, like you said, Cole at Indiana. Yeah,
assistant to the head coach at Indiana.
Exactly.
So and he, I've been trying to get him on. Of course, he's busy a lot, stuff like that. He was supposed to come on, actually. It was like when I first started, but that's when he broke the announcement that he was going to Indiana, and he was trying to get everything moved out. So he said, hey, we got to reschedule this sometime else. We got to figure out another date, because he was just going through, it's so busy when you're in an apartment trying to get that off the lease, trying to have someone else take it. That's $900. And then you get a job at Indiana where you're immediately moving to another state. You know what I mean? And to the Big Ten, mind you, this is a Big Ten school, a team that was also not good last year. They struggled, but 2 years, the COVID season in 19, they were pretty good.
Yeah, they every now and then they have a couple 9-win seasons. Yeah. They're a legit program for sure. Yeah. And they're only getting better.
They almost beat Ohio State 2020.
I remember watching, for sure. But like I said, you literally can build everything off connections. When it comes to podcasting, when it comes to anything with media, when it comes to people prominent guests and stuff that'll get people to watch, it's literally who you know. It rarely is it what you know. You know what I mean? So you could definitely benefit from that for sure.
I tried to get Coach Catrone on, but he was like, I'm not really a podcast guy, and I understand that.
Yeah,
some people aren't.
Some people don't do interviews, and that's completely fine. Yeah, but for the people that do, you could really.
No, yeah, it's fine. As you said before, I think we were off air. Or you said actually earlier, you're trying to get Nissan right on your show.
Yeah, so we got a couple people lined up
because he because I actually texted him in one call. I was like, yeah, well, when I'm free and stuff like that, when I have some time, I'm like, cool, let me know. So yeah, we can text.
Yeah,
I'll do it remotely if you're in Columbus, or because Riverside, shout out to them. You can do this actually like remotely too. Like if you send a link to someone, so kind of like a Zoom call, but just better quality.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, bro, I have a lot of people lined up. Yeah. What we're trying to do right now, because my producer goes to Ohio University, and so he goes back late August, and he said he comes home every 2 weeks. So what we're trying to do now is film as many podcasts as possible. Right now, the most that we've done is 2 in 1 week, trying to get 3 in 1 week. So I have a lot of people that I've contacted. I'm not going to reveal anything other than a niece, obviously.
Little teaser.
Yeah. But it was crazy because him and Shelton, and this is back on St. Patty's Day. We were at the, what's it called? Place in
Frenchies?
Yeah, we were Frenchies.
Yeah.
And it was like, we were both a little bit buzzed. But they both just gave me like this motivational talk, and they were like, just see the vision and keep going. And I was like, Bet, do you want to be on? And they were like, of course, yeah. Obviously, this is back in March before I like did video or anything like that. But like, they saw it at the time, and that gave me a lot of confidence to like continue on, because like those guys were some of the 2 guys I like looked up to a lot when it came to like high school, and not just like sports, but like who you want to be as a person. Not even partying, but like
the Blue Mountain State group.
well, not even that. Like
I'm playing.
They just like showed what it was like to be a leader. You know what I mean? Like everybody messed with them. Everybody was cool with them. They knew everybody. There wasn't really any beef. And that's something that I feel like with me, and like having, like you said, kind of before, like I don't
like when you're with football, like with us, or like with the senior leadership, or
no, but I'm talking about later on in life, like with the podcast. Like you say a bunch of stuff, you have so many hours of footage of you talking about different things.
Yeah,
a couple of people are gonna get mad sometimes, but like I feel like truly with me, the intent is never to like publicly like humiliate people or anything like that. I'm always telling stories. The goal is always like to make people laugh, and then also I want to interview people. I want to show other people, like I want to introduce other people to these interesting people that I know. So like the intent is never bad, and I feel like that's something I could do better on. Is
and I welcome you on my show. I welcome a lot of people on my show if they want to come on. And my dad actually knows someone who works on USA Today college football, like writing. He's real good connections with them. We're trying to get him on, hopefully here soon, like in the next month if possible. So because especially this would be big because college football season right around the corner.
We have a client that we cut lawns for, and he's a writer for the Cleveland Browns.
Really?
Yeah.
One of this guy I know, Shalafini, by the way. I mean, he might come on a podcast. He's a stats guy for the Browns actually. So
that's pretty cool.
Dude, that is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked him if he does training camp, but like he says he doesn't. He just does like stats for the game, so that'd be pretty sweet. I'm trying to get some other guys who've probably done a lot of stuff too. I mean, again, I talked about Coach Phillips, and I mean, it was a good starting point. I mean, you watched the thing with Jim Weber that got 600 views, right? Shout out to him.
The short, exactly. Okay, so I didn't want to ask you off air because I want to like get like behind the scenes. How'd you get him on the podcast?
So actually, we did one before when I was like trying to test it out, and funny thing is, he was in something called Twitter jail. So like his account was suspended, right? He didn't have a DM before that on his Twitter, but he was in Twitter jail, and I DM'd him say like, hey, you got so many followers. I know you worked for a bunch of these networks. I've seen all your stuff. You want to come on like a podcast sometimes? Like, sure. So we did one. And then like years later, I texted him again when I had to start out the Talkwire. I'm like, hey, you want to come on again? He's like, yeah, sure. So that's how we did remotely with the link. And I mean, he worked with guys like Michelle Beadle from ESPN, right? Worked with a lot of famous people like that, which is pretty sweet.
That is pretty cool. Now, like, so you're telling me you just DM'd him on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, literally.
And, that's
literally, yeah. I mean,
how long does it take for a prominent guy like that to respond?
Honestly, you want to know the truth? It could take maybe a minute, or it could take forever.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you get. And luckily for him, it didn't take that long. It took him maybe like a day or so, I'll say. And like I showed you the one comedy guy that looks like Skip Bayless, that trying to be like his impression.
Yeah, the guy.
Dude, he's getting a lot of like guys on. He has 26K followers. Dude, I'm gonna try. He already saw my stuff. I want him to like come on too.
Yeah, that'd be
because he's gonna be blowing up. Probably he might be on Fox with all his Skip Bayless parodies. Like
honestly. I feel like more and more there's been impersonators coming up, whether it's of sports analysts.
They're not bad though. Like I mean, it's not like anything offensive.
I agree. especially when TikTok became more prominent, probably during COVID. It was obviously really big prior, but like when it came to COVID, like everybody got on TikTok. Everybody was making TikToks, whether it's how to make whipped coffee or the newest recipe for like pancakes or whatever, or dances, like literally anybody. And then you open it up to impersonations of like celebrities and stuff like that. There's a lot of talented people out there.
One dude has a good Plankton impersonation. I mean, sounds exactly like Plankton from SpongeBob.
Really?
Yeah.
You can find anything.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
And I don't know if you know the powerlifter. His name's like Damien the Fat Ass is his name, but he calls himself that. He's not really, but that's his TikTok name. And dude, he makes he's a powerlifter, lifts tons of weight, but he makes a lot of good recipes like for cooking.
Liver King too.
Mm-hmm.
There's just endless amounts of people that you could keep naming that have made their, I don't want to say living, but they've become prominent off of TikTok. Yeah. It's crazy. So that's what I tried to do, and obviously how it went.
Obviously, TikTok got to.
Yeah, so that's why I started a podcast, because
TikTok banned you right before they banned Trump.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself in the same bracket as Trump, but yeah, man, ever since he got banned off Twitter, I wouldn't call myself a staunch supporter of Trump. But I will say though, he
free speech.
He's missed.
He is definitely missed. I'd say honestly though, I don't know if you watched the Full Send podcast a little bit where Jay Portnoy came on.
I do.
And did you watch the one with Portnoy with Stooley? By the way,
yes.
I've been trying to get him on the podcast with Pizza Reviews.
I think that one's gonna take a little bit longer.
Yeah,
for sure.
A little bit longer. No, he came on Full Send up, and they asked him. I remember who's worse. Who would you vote for with Trump or Biden? He's like, both are bad options. But he would say Trump would even be worse because he broke so many brains. Yeah. I don't know if I agree with the broke many brains part because he definitely have broke so many brains, especially on the side of the far left. But
yeah,
I feel like economy wise he'd be a lot better. But I feel like also because he's a big fan, he's the one who brought Operation Warp Speed. Mm-hmm. The vaccine stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like he would take that under his control. We'd have mandates kind of like what we're having.
You think?
Maybe in some states, I feel like he would try and put that in some fruition with some states because how he said he's a big fan of it and supports it a bunch.
Yeah, you see, to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of either side either.
No, I'm not a fan of the far left or the far right.
Biden is a war criminal. Trump is a war criminal. Obama is a war criminal. Bush is a war criminal. Our government isn't exactly. How do I phrase this? Their hands aren't exactly clean. No. They're very much bloody.
On both sides.
Yeah. What you have to think or take into account is what the rest of the world thinks of us. Yeah. Specifically the Middle East. You think about Iraq. We went into that war under false pretenses, and how many people were killed? Millions. I don't know the exact number, but I would imagine it's millions. And look, they changed nothing. We tried to bring democracy there. As soon as we left, it all fell apart, and then the Taliban obviously took over, and you had what we have now. Yeah. In terms of Somalia, that country continuously just gets drone striked, but nobody talks about it because, for whatever the reason, the media just doesn't want to talk about it. All presidents did this. Drone strikes increased under Trump. He's not. He wasn't sent by God to do the Lord's work. No. He was talking about draining the swamp, but he didn't. It went worse. I think political correctness really ramped up after he was elected, or even honestly.
Well, that's because they were triggered by him so much.
But I feel like he didn't do himself any favors. He was very how do I say? He was very polarizing from the beginning.
But you have to come in with that attitude too. You know what I mean? Especially against someone like those guys. You gotta be the man. You know what I mean? You can't.
I don't know.
He's better than what we have now. I'd say.
A lot of people are.
I mean, a lot of people definitely are. I mean, I wouldn't. So, if you had right now where it was between a Republican Party and it was Trump or DeSantis, who would you pick?
I think any logical person would pick DeSantis.
Same here. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that was my pick too because again, DeSantis is just it's Ron DeSantis. I feel like he's against forcing vaccines, while Trump was the one who brought it out so quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget. Just with everything else that's been going on, Roe versus Wade, I don't want to get all that, but he's done pretty controversial. But he's limited, everything's been going on with it. He's been doing, I think, his own part on it.
I haven't really kept up with him when it comes to the issue of Roe versus Wade of late. I will say I'm against the government telling people what to do with their bodies. Yeah. I feel like I'm one of the only consistent people that believe that. You have a lot of people on the right that are anti-vaccine mandate, but when it comes to abortion, they're obviously pro-life.
And then you have people on the left, just the opposite, say enforce the vaccine on people, but then when it comes to abortion, says, hey, don't.
Yeah. Me personally, I don't believe abortion is right, but I'll be damned if I let the government tell women what to do with their body. You know what I mean? That's theirs.
Well, I feel like in a way that's taken like a little. Here's how I would put it with the abortion thing. In states that are illegal, then it's illegal, unless say with the whole thing with the the R word, stuff like that, like non-consensual. What's going on with that? In that way, have the file right there, have the proof, like the DNA and all that. Then you should be able to get it. Like what I mean? Yeah.
I don't believe in late-term abortion. If it's like 9 months or not like if it's 9 months, like I don't believe that late-term abortions are right by any stretch of the imagination. I don't believe that should be allowed by the government or whatever. That's probably the only thing I agree with the current ruling on when it comes to abortion. But like, I don't know, man. It's just when something has been culturally relevant for so long, when it's like ingrained into culture, when it's been ingrained into the minds of women in America, I don't know if you could just take that away. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like we disagree on that, but it is what it is.
Well, it is. But again, we're not like the politics on both sides who will like to shout out and call each other names. Like, we agree like professional men.
Yeah, and that's why I subscribe to a bunch of different news outlets on YouTube. There's one called Breaking Points with Crystal and stuff.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they're very good. What they do is they cover different topics in like 7-8 minute increments. It's not like CNN or Fox where it's like 5 panels and 2 minutes.
Yeah, let me just say, I hate all of our media outlets. Like all the ones that are like MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, Newsmax. I hate all of them. Let me just say right now.
I'll say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying because they don't give you the right stuff. All of them don't give you the right stuff. They do their own little opinions, but they don't give you like the actual fact about it. That's all it is.
It's funny because like even the people on Fox, they're like, and I'm in the middle, but if I had to lean to a side, I'd lean a little bit right. Yeah. So, and as a result of that,
I'm right, but I'm not that far right.
My parents growing up, they're conservative and stuff. They're not like super conservative. They don't believe that Trump won the election or anything like that. But Fox News was always on growing up, so I always got the side on the right. And it's funny because you see people like Laura Ingraham who are now they're anti-war, but if you go back to when Bush was in office, they're pro-war. Yeah. And it's like, what are you doing? You just switched up because that's what everybody else did. Tucker Carlson, he's pretty entertaining. They're all entertaining. Rachel Maddow's entertaining to watch.
Tucker's actually a lot better when he's not on camera. Like he's a lot because he has so much freedom. Like he did a one bite with El Presidente actually, and it was like a different person.
I feel like Tucker, he's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Not just on Fox News, but in terms of like legacy media today, because he just has he's not afraid to have people in opposition to him on his show, or just people that nobody else will have on his show. I feel like he's not exactly unbiased. At Fox, they clearly say we give you the conservative perspective, but he's one of the better ones, I would say. But I don't know. Breaking Points is one, and then Secular Talk with Kyle Kalinske. He's like a traditional guy on the left. Has all the opinions of somebody traditional liberal that you would think.
Yeah. You know who we're forgetting? Joe Rogan.
But I don't even think Joe's he's not a news guy. He's just it's a couple of things. So that podcast is comedy. It's information. He'll have different doctors.
Yeah, but he has his own opinions on it.
Right, but he's not marketing it as a news show.
Yeah.
It's just a podcast and then entertainment too. Those are the three things.
Yeah.
So, and I think he does a good job as doing that. He always says you can quote him as saying, he always says I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. I'm not trying to quote anybody. He makes it pretty blatant that he doesn't. He's not an expert on a lot, but that's the number one podcast in America in the world for a reason. He's truly himself all the time. Has a bunch of different interesting people on too. So.
Yeah, and with all that news stuff too, you just don't know what's going to happen next. Because there's been so much news. It's been sadly bad news too.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of the reason that the current media exists.
Yeah, all the bad news.
We don't, as human beings, our eyeballs aren't on the screen for good news. Yeah. As soon as you see a school shooting, as soon as you see a war started, a bomb,
July 4th shooting.
Yeah, whatever the case is, we gravitate to that negative news because we become fearful.
Yeah.
Nobody's fearful of good news.
And with everything that's been going on in concerts now, like going to concerts kind of give me a little anxiety. Like if I decide to go, just because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I feel like you don't know what's going to happen in general in life. I could walk out. I'm not going to say somebody could walk out of a building, get hit by a car, struck by lightning, whatever the case. A tree could fall on them. But you just have to. I feel like you can't walk on eggshells in life. But like you said, you have to be cautious as well. I went to the Luke Bryan concert 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and
I heard it was like all unorganized actually too, a little bit.
I can't lie, I was drunk most of the time. I don't like country music at all. I went for the experience. We got the pit, so I was standing the whole time. It's kind of uncomfortable, but it was a nice experience. Would I go back? Probably, maybe. Depends on obviously if I get to sit or not. But it was a good experience. Nothing really bad happened. In terms of the unorganization, yeah, there was like 2 entrances and that's it. It was, I don't know, but this area doesn't really get a lot of attention like that in terms of like national mainstream artists.
Yeah, well, Georgia Line, Blake Shelton, and then Luke Bryan. So
but in general, not just like the country genre. Like I remember Gucci Mane came and Migos came, but
Migos came for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I knew better than to purchase tickets at that time. Like they have better things going on, like nobody cares.
He's gonna go to Youngstown for the whole time, like.
Yeah, you're not going. You're probably not making a lot of money either, so I don't blame them. I remember.
No one's a fan of like going to a small city like Youngstown. They'd rather be in like New York City doing it. They'd rather be in like somewhere in Florida, like Tampa, doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like LA or whatever.
Texas.
So I have a question for you. Where do you see like this area going in the next like 10 to 20?
For Youngstown?
Yeah.
Depends what happens because we got some schools now that are I guess going up in attendance and enrollment, but some are going down. So you just don't know what's going to happen like around there. Like East Cheney, I think they're going to be fine school wise, but with everything in the city, you just got to bring some more businesses. And Treston's been doing a great job, and that's who also I want to get on the show before he steps down as president would be Jimmy T. I think he's been doing a good job, but he's stepping down as he's president. So something's going to be done with that. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of people telling people what to do, so I wasn't really a fan of Trestle because it was funny. And I don't know if that was him, but like you had the people in the College of Business, for example, or even on campus, right? You would have mask mandates, and they would bark at you if you had your mask below your nose.
Dude,
right?
You know what the worst part was? The rec center. I don't know.
It's kind of odd because it's funny. Like, you say you have to have your mask on when you're playing rec basketball. And you're going, you get 10 sweaty guys all over each other. No, homo. All over each other. Obviously, you're getting fouled. People are playing defense, setting picks, you're screening, you're blocking, you're trying to steal passes, stuff like that. Literally, it's a physical game.
It's like the whole thing with college football during COVID season.
Yeah, I feel like the leadership was awful. I feel like governors who told businesses like they just couldn't run their business and make money.
And shut down.
And then they say, "Oh, here's $600 of stimulus money."
Yeah.
But then
that's not going to do it.
Of course, and then obviously it led to inflation. Past 2 years, we've printed 80% of the cash in circulation. So, like, what do you expect? Of course, inflation is going to hit. And there are a couple people talking about that, obviously, but then again, you have to wonder, like, what else could they have done? There wasn't anything that they could have done because the government literally took away their jobs for a certain amount of time. I could go for hours on that.
Yeah, I don't want to really go for hours. Like I said, the lockdown was worthless. It should have never happened in the first place, in my opinion.
I don't know. I feel like it would have worked if people truly stayed inside for that 2-week period and just not gone anywhere. The problem is human nature. Yeah. Nobody's going to do that. So it was a failed plan from the beginning. I remember it was 2 years spread, and then it turned into
2 weeks.
2 weeks turned into 2 years.
Yeah, but the thing is, no one just cares about it anymore. And I hate on Wise's campus. You see do you ever see those people like, I don't know, they have like pamphlets. They have like those little stack of pamphlets like outside, and they're in business suits and they're all wearing like masks on them.
Yes.
What's the reason? You're outside. You know what I mean? You're outside. What, do you think I'm going to walk by? They probably do still the whole like fist bump thing or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I was always a fan of the fist bump. Don't get me wrong.
No, I am.
But a lot of people that have been watching these, for some reason, people on the left took the side of enforcing masks when traditionally it would be people on the right that would be, you would think, would want to enforce the masks, which is crazy how like the two sides switched up. So, But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just take in that kind of media.
Yeah.
The people that are still wearing the mask, like for whatever reason, they still believe that masks are like the number one effective tool at stopping COVID. Even now,
and we've seen more that people that have been wearing masks and that have been getting the shot have been getting COVID more than those who haven't.
Well, I'm not even talking about the shot. I'm just saying.
Masks.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, even now, those news networks have kind of turned on the idea that the mask is like you have to have the mask to protect yourself from COVID. Like CNN, MSNBC.
They change up their stuff every day, though.
Yeah, but that's everybody.
Dr. Fauci at one time was like, "Hey, get the vaccine; it's gonna help." He's like, "Oh, you don't need the vaccine actually, because if you're antibodies, like, you know, what I mean, which one is it? Like, one or the other?"
I feel like it's just like it represents what people in government now, like how much we trust them. And I feel like before COVID, a lot of people trusted government, but now I feel like there's such a small percentage of people that they have their trust in government, and rightfully so. I feel like there's so many people, whether that's people in Congress, people in the Senate, even presidents. You could look back as far as Bush and Dick Cheney. You could make the argument that they had other ideas, or there were other. How would I even say it? Like other things.
Traits?
Yeah, no, not even traits, but there were other things that they wanted to take care of. People make the argument all the time that we went into Iraq because it would make all these other people in power millions and millions and millions of dollars, because we'd be making all these weapons for these different companies and stuff like that, and then these politicians would get a cut. So, excuse me, that's the argument for that. But yeah, you have so many politicians now that I feel like they truly don't. They don't fight for the district or the area in the state.
They fight for themselves.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like I feel like truly, there's a couple of politicians that I feel like they're not backed by money. They're there because they truly care about the country. And you could feel about all these politicians. You could feel however you want to feel about them, however you want. Number one's Rand Paul. He's the Republican senator from Kentucky. Guy was a doctor before he became a senator. He had no business being a politician, but for whatever reason, I guess he saw something that he didn't like and wanted to change about his country. So as a result, you see him pressing Fauci when it comes to stuff he said, when other people on the right and left won't do that. AOC. I know a lot of people feel some type of way about AOC.
Do you know she just got, not arrested, but she got kicked out or something?
Yeah, I think it was arrested. I believe they did put her in handcuffs.
But I don't think they took her to actual jail.
Yeah, what happened was she was just protesting Roe v. Wade. That's all. But yeah, I feel like her opinions are so out there, and I don't agree with much that she says. But you can't tell me that she's backed by like some corporate entity.
Oh, of course.
She has all these unpopular opinions.
Yeah, because AOC could get in handcuffs and she'll be fine. But the one lady who has breast cancer son and is arrested because of she went into January 6th or something like that to the Capitol or something like that. You know,
I don't know all about that.
But she's in prison, but AOC is protesting about all this and what about the riots, and they're not. I'm not saying both are terrible. You know what I mean? All that stuff that people do are just pitiful and they should be ashamed of themselves. But going to take a quick intermission here, once again on the OB Talkwire, episode 9, the crossover of a century. I hope you are liking the discussion that I am having with Luke Pipala, once again the host of the Luke Pipala Show, who comes on to the podcast. And it's been some really good conversation between us here so far. Once again, though, we do have some sponsors. Fake it till we make it. He has Red Bull, so we got to give a shout out to Red Bull. Celsius Energy, really good energy drink, especially, they say, for fitness. And you also got to thank Riverside.fm for the recording. Yes, and before that, we had a couple takes, about a take or two because of technical issues going on with my laptop, so we had to use a different camera and all that. But it's working in fruition. It's working pretty good. So I want to thank him once again for coming on. I want to give a shout out to Riverside.fm, a really good sponsor. I want to also give a shout out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere where you could find Riverside and Riverside.fm, and YouTube as well. This is anywhere where you can listen, download, or watch the podcast. Now, let's get on with part 2.
Well, as far as I saw, I didn't see that she was doing anything violent. She was just exercising one of her fundamental constitutional rights, which is the ability to protest.
Yeah.
I think
AOC or the
AOC.
AOC.
Yeah. There was a couple other members of Congress, female members of Congress that are arrested too. But she's AOC's another one. I feel like she was literally a bartender before she became a representative. Like I feel like she's the epitome of like having a vision and just working to achieve that vision. She helped organize Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. Like I feel like she's, despite what you may think, I feel like she's not backed by corporate money. I don't feel like she's a corrupt politician either. Bernie Sanders, another one, another controversial one for conservative people that are listening. He's one of 2 members of Congress, either senators or representatives, who's not Republican or Democrat. He's actually an independent. Ran as a Democrat in 2016 and 2020. The same thing with that guy, though. Democratic socialist, all these ideas. You saw what happened with the 2020 Democratic primary. All these people, Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, I believe Kamala Harris pulled out too.
Before she became vice president.
Right, they all pulled out so Bernie wouldn't win and Biden would be the candidate.
And then,
I feel like that's crazy because I feel like truly, despite what a lot of people on the right may think, that he's truly trying to help people that are disenfranchised in this country. And you gotta think that there's no corporate money behind that guy. You know what I mean?
But I remember a lot of people were thinking that 2020 election was like Elizabeth Warren, and then all of a sudden it just switched to Biden, like it turned a complete 180.
Well, it's because everybody pulled out because they didn't want Bernie to win.
And then that's when they say the election was stolen, which I agree was. You got your opinion on that, though. I feel like there was a lot of. I don't feel like there's some stuff that wasn't stolen, but you can't tell me that Georgia was not stolen. 99% they don't call it. Arizona called super earlier than half the other states. Not even fully yet. They called it super early.
I don't believe the election was stolen. I mean, obviously that's your opinion, but I don't believe the election was stolen.
I'm just saying there's shady stuff in those states. You know what I mean?
Right. There's been election fraud all over throughout the history of the United States. The only thing is, something as legit as the presidential election, there have been many court documents, obviously, disproving election fraud. However, there was an instance, I don't know how long ago, ironically, it was on Breaking Points with Crystal and Sauger. They talked about how both parties, Democrat and Republican, there was some race, it was a small scale, race for mayor. And I believe it was the Green Party. They tried to get a candidate in there, and something happened where they changed the ballot. They threw out a couple ballots. But it was both parties, I believe, and as a result, the candidate who was favored to win the election for some small town, the candidate from the Green Party, they lost. So, yeah, I feel like to fix this problem, there's a bunch of things culturally that we can do. But politically, if we could encourage third parties to run, like something they have in the UK where they have 4 main parties.
So that's one of the parts?
I feel like, yeah. Because right now, I don't know about you, but it's kind of all this polarization between politics. I feel like it's the worst it's ever been.
Oh, every side hates each other, even on like the same side.
Not me. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm here for everything.
I'm talking like those who super follow politics and those who are politicians. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's another thing with COVID for me. I feel like I said before, a lot of people stop trusting the government. That was true for me too, and I kind of became a centrist in some regard. So like I stopped viewing myself on a team, and as a result, you become less triggered. You become less tribalistic in that regard. You don't feel like you're against any side, and less stuff offends you, like on Twitter. You know what I mean? All this stuff kind of resembles, for me, I don't know, I think you're a Browns fan, right?
Yeah, I'm a Browns fan. It
resembles the old Browns versus Steelers arguments, like in grade school, right? Those fights, like in the group chats, were toxic. People would get their feelings hurt, right? I mean, people would go to the lowest of lows.
How about, let's go lows of lows when we didn't even have phones. And when I was like in, like 5th, 4th grade, and they were talking about all that stuff on like Xbox.
Yeah, literally.
You know what I mean?
Or in person, bro. The debates at like the lunch table, those would go deep, and they would cut deep too. Yeah. That's the thing. So
at the time, the Browns were worse than what they are now.
What I'm saying is the fan bases,
they
would go back and forth. Well, your team sucks. Well, your quarterback's a rapist.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. It's kind of switched now.
Yeah.
Now the Browns have that rapist quarterback. But anyway, the point is, like, it would all hurt for both people really bad because people would go at each other's necks. Fast forward now, it's like that, but the adults are doing that. Yeah. And I feel like
it's not. And you're adults, like, come on.
Yeah. I feel like if we had like legit adults in Congress and also like leaders in our world, like every day, like our world would be so much better because we're young, we're up and coming, right? I would say we're adults now, but our brains aren't even fully formed. Like 27 years old is the year for males when your brain is fully formed. So like,
hey, my brother's already reached past that age, so he's already fully formed. He's 30, so
exactly. But like, our brains aren't fully developed yet. So how are you going to expect us to make the right decisions? You know what I mean? Girls too, same thing. I think their brains obviously develop at a younger age, but still, our age, we're not all adults at all. Like we don't know. We're not like emotionally mature. Obviously, there's exceptions, but still, it's like we're still growing. How are you going to expect us to make the right decision? You know what I mean? When there's no real leadership on top.
Yeah, you just gotta wing it at that point. You just don't know what you're supposed to do. You gotta wait.
You gotta follow your heart.
Exactly, follow your heart.
You can't be toxic.
Can't be toxic, indeed. It's also okay. I guess we could get something else off air. So we'll have to switch it around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about we talked a little bit about the whole high school thing earlier, football, because I feel like we've already done a lot of politics. I mean, this is the most politics I've talked on my show.
we just jump off.
Yeah, this is the most politics I actually talked on my show. I want to say in the whole thing. There's one where with my brother actually over there when I first started all this, and we talked a little bit. He was roasting Joe Biden and all that stuff, but that was like the only thing we talked about political.
I just feel bad for him. I feel like it's not his fault.
No, he's being controlled. He's a puppet, dude.
I don't even think that. I just think that like nobody really knew how bad it was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
but going on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. He has dementia. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. Although I guess we could say before that, I don't know if you saw what Trump said about Elon Musk and Rogan and DeSantis and all that on his Truth Social.
Trump,
he's been, I don't know. That's why I haven't been liking him recently because, like, you know what he said about Elon Musk? That if he was in the office, he would come get on his knees and beg for him. But first of all, Elon Musk is, come on, you don't say that to Elon Musk. You know what I mean?
Trump's good.
But you don't, Elon Musk would eat his words, I'm pretty sure, because
they're both very big trolls.
I'm a big Elon guy, though. I'll admit that.
When it comes to Elon, I feel like he has a lot of good ideas, but when it comes to Neuralink, when he wants to put a chip in people's brains, that's where I kind of draw the line. Yes.
When did he say that?
Joe Rogan's podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if he probably thinks about that now. You know?
No. It's something he's actively working on. So they put a chip in a gorilla's brain, and you know the video game Pong, the first video game ever created. The gorilla or the chimp, it is a chimp, can actually play Pong with its mind.
Yeah.
There's video of it. It's crazy. The ultimate goal is to help people with like cerebral palsy, spinal injuries, and stuff like that. And Elon says it'll help people in the beginning. He said eventually you're going to be able to talk without using words, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be the same thing with people that didn't want to get the vaccine, right? What society tried to create, and eventually they didn't create, was two classes, right? The people that had whatever they were requiring, and the people that didn't. So when you have Neuralink, for example, you're going to have the same thing. People that want it, because why wouldn't you want to speak without words? Why wouldn't you want to have unlimited knowledge, literally a computer in your head? But there's also going to be the people that say, listen, I don't want you to put something in my brain. You're not going to put a computer chip in my brain. That's going to be me. So what you're going to have, you're going to have these two sides, and then there's going to be an inequality. Not an inequality of education, but an inequality of knowledge. And as a result, there's going to be, like I said, two hierarchies of people. You're going to have two classes. And the class that has Neuralink has so much more opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not just knowledge that they know, not just like having a computer. No. Now you offer more to a potential job, a potential boss, literally anything, bro. Coding, working, I don't know, even as a plumber, you have so much more knowledge, dude, compared to somebody on Amazon or compared to somebody with a normal brain. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's kind of freaky.
And as a result, you're going to become poor.
But Donald Trump called him out, and then he called out, I only saw that, he called out Joe Rogan saying he was lying, that he said 1 million times he'd have me on a show while Rogan on the one, I forget what podcast it was, but he said, no, I wouldn't have Trump on the show. Rogan said that, and then he said, Ron DeSantis is gutless. That's the last thing Trump said, too.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Which is, I don't know if I agree with any of that, because those are, I think, 3 people that are, like, trying to help the country in a way. Especially Rogan's been a big help. You know that. Definitely.
Elon, too. Elon, literally, bro, how much money did he donate to, I believe it was solving the problem of starvation in our country? Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. But it was like billions of dollars. Yeah, somebody on Twitter challenged him, and he said, okay,
And it's, again, all politics. I mean, even with, I don't know if you know about, with all politics, Live Golf now, the Live Golf Tour.
I don't know what that is. No.
Oh, so all the...
Is that the Saudi Arabia
thing? With all the PGA guys hopping onto that.
Yeah, because they make more money.
Yeah, my dad and I had a conversation about it. They said it's like the USFL a little bit. I'm like, no, I disagree, because in the USFL, those are players who want a shot at the NFL.
Yeah.
Or like the XFL. They want a shot. They're not making a lot of money. Saudi Arabia, okay, like they live. You have some golfers who couldn't make probably the PGA. But you got some who are coming over from the PGA because they see Phil, Dustin Johnson, Rory, DeChambeau, all those guys, because they just see all the money coming.
Yeah, and I feel
again, it's cool. Saudi Arabia, politics. The Biden administration wanted to investigate the PGA, politics. Donald Trump's golf course is having the Live Tour play there. Was that illegal? Politics. Mm-hmm. So you got all three of these people, when you think about that, maybe don't like each other, but they're working together to try and just get some more money in their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that's the problem with our world today, going all the way back to the 70s when steel mills moved out of the valley. It's because there were all these corporate interests, and the goal with capitalism, and there's pros and cons, but this is one of the cons, is you're driven to make the most money possible. So when you have the opportunity to go take your country either like to Mexico or overseas, for example, where you're going to be paying your workers much less than you would pay everybody here, because you have unions, because our workers, for our societal standards, they're valued more for whatever reason. Corporations are going to do that because they want a bigger profit at the end of the day. Why wouldn't they? There's nothing that you should say to put in place to stop it. You can't just say you can't do that. Yeah. That's why they put tariffs. That's why Trump put tariffs on companies that moved to China or had their business in China, because he wanted the emphasis to be about having people working here in America, because it'd be better for us. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I'm not going to say capitalism is bad, but this is a con, because as a result, people put money over morals, in my opinion. You see this happening with the NBA. You see this happening with, like I said, all these corporations.
Yeah, the NBA, LeBron, or as I love to call him, China Bron.
Yeah, I feel kind of wishy-washy about LeBron, man. I think he's one of the best players ever.
Definitely
I think,
top five, top three. Definitely top three.
I think that guy is one of the most influential people in the world. I feel like
and he helped out a lot with the schools and all that.
Yeah, I feel like he has nothing but good intentions at heart. Mm-hmm. And I understand what he was saying when they were all trapped in China, and he spoke out against Darren Moore, because them and their families were literally stuck in China too, so they didn't know what the CCP would do in terms of if they were going to take them in and keep them there. So I understand what he was saying about that. He voiced his opinion. I just think it's kind of hypocritical to talk about issues in our country that are very valid, by the way, 100%. There's a bunch of problems with police brutality, and a bunch of problems, especially in the inner cities, that haven't been fixed in a long time. And he should 100% be able to voice all of his concerns and his problems with that, as anybody should. But at the same time, when the majority of money that the NBA is making is in China, when they have concentration camps, when you literally see the videos.
Muslim slaves, by the way.
Yeah, there's videos, there's pictures. I saw a video
from
Twitter.
Nike.
Yeah, I saw a video on Twitter not long ago of an apartment. It was like a video zoomed in from another building across the street. There's these people in hazmat suits, and they're dragging people out of their apartments.
Yeah, that's happening in Shanghai, right?
Yeah, it was in COVID, because of COVID. And then there was another video of people in hazmat suits dragging I think they were, I don't know what city it was in, but the people that live in that city, they were dragging them into cages. And this was on Twitter. That's why I love Twitter. You could find all this information, all this news that nobody else is going to report.
Oh, yeah, but you got to search for it, too. Twitter's not going to put in their trending feed at all.
Well, ever since Elon said he was going to buy the company, I disagree. I've seen so much more.
Until he pulled out.
Well, I always follow this stuff, but in terms of both voices, I've seen that more. But going back to that, I've been following this, all the collapse of economies and societies and stuff like that, and it's very interesting. An example, and I know we're just branching off, we were going whatever. I don't know if you're familiar, Sri Lanka. So it's a small country, and basically what happened was, it's off the coast of Asia. It's a small country.
Off of Asia?
I'm thinking somewhere near Asia. Anyway, they made all their money off of, majority was tourism. Okay, and as a result of increased terrorist attacks in 2019, and then you had COVID, obviously, their money from terrorism. I'm not terrorism. Sorry, tourism.
Not terrorism. No, they're
almost completely gone. And then there was an issue with the farmers. There's issues with farmers all around the world right now. But something happened where farmers rebelled because of something that the government said. I'm misquoting badly here. But as a result, the citizens of Sri Lanka overthrew the president's palace. And you can find videos of this. There's thousands, if not millions of people overthrowing. They literally invaded this guy's palace in protest of like everything that was going on because they did not agree with what the government was doing. So they stood up against their government. You could see literally, bro, they were like swimming in his pool. He stepped down after that, and it actually worked. There was real change. But it's crazy how all this stuff, people are saying, watch what happened there, because like you don't know when it comes to governments like the UK or governments like ours, you don't know how much power the people truly have until it happens. It's crazy.
So what's your, real quick, since we're still on like politics, what are your thoughts
the
on
world?
Yeah, the world. With the world, what's your thoughts on climate change, speaking of like the UK and all that stuff?
Oh, I believe it's very real. I don't believe that it's going to kill us tomorrow. I don't think that the way to solve it is making or forcing everybody to kind of phase out gas-powered vehicles in favor of electric vehicles, because what you have is the plants are still powered by coal. But I think we should explore, and I don't think it's going to happen because people are so skeptical of nuclear energy. But apparently the technology is all there for nuclear. And I'm not an expert. I don't pretend to be an expert on anything. This is all stuff that I've seen and heard other very smart people say. I don't know anything. But in terms of that, I feel like hearing all these very smart people, very intelligent people talking about the possibilities of nuclear, and like we're literally already there. It's all about the public's willingness to accept it. I feel like that's something we should go more towards.
Yeah, climate change for me, I feel like we've had this for a while now. Global warming, climate change has been a thing forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They actually and the one dude on Twitter put a map on it, and he was like, "Oh, here's it getting so bad, all this getting red." I'm like, dude, it's been getting red since the 90s. Like, come on now, it's been like this before, but no one was complaining about it back then. I just think, again, it's another thing they're trying to make a national emergency for, kind of like what they did with COVID, and try and bring us all lockdown for the climate change lockdown. Because have you seen that? They're trying to, the White House, the new speaker, whoever replaced Jen Psaki, yeah.
Kind of hot, I'm not gonna lie. Jen Psaki's like, she's a solid.
But who replaced, the one lady replaced her, talking about just, we're gonna hold off a national climate emergency for this week, but updates will be coming soon. I feel like they're gonna try and do the same thing with COVID, because COVID's now, that scare is failing. They're gonna try and scare everyone with climate change. Going to try and put us in a lockdown again.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if they can ever do that again, because I feel like the public,
like
people that live here, people would, I can't talk. People will resist it pretty quick. I feel like, because a lot of people won't do that again.
Oh no, dude! If they get like so much security, I mean FBI security, government security, dude. I know there's a little maybe shortage of that too, but hey, you know what they'll do? They'll just go fund the police again, like how they tried to defund them before, and they'll try and get everyone into their houses. Like,
I'm telling you. There's more of us than them. There's much more of us than them. 350 million plus compared to how many do you think combined law enforcement officers, FBI, CIA, National Guard? I'm telling you, bro, there's so much more of us than them.
Yeah, but still, like, you don't know what's going to
happen. I'm telling you 100% that won't happen. And here's why. Because the Second Amendment is still in our country. We still have the Second Amendment.
For now.
In 2020, in 2021, gun sales rose because people were skeptical of our government. I'm telling you, the people will fight back.
Hopefully. Keyword hopefully.
Yeah.
But now on this conversation of politics all the way to sports, when we were out there, you were talking about, because we talked about Ursuline, like talk about the state championship, Clinton Massey and all that stuff, where you were about to put a ring on your finger because your brother was in that state championship on the sideline.
I would have worn that thing proud.
They go, hey. Look, I didn't go 1-9. Here's my ring. Just try.
Honestly, though, I had fun.
Yeah, I had fun.
I had fun when we were 2-8.
I had a lot of anxiety, like I still do. But I mean, it was. I played football. Maybe that's when I found out like all my anxiety problems. I like. It's weird. I was a little nervous. I would like puke a bunch, and that's why I had a little bit of my senior year in a couple games too. Yeah.
Well, it's a nerve-wracking sport.
Yeah.
Because especially high school football around here. I feel like Ohio is one of the top 5, top 6 like states to play football. You know what I mean? You're up there with Texas, Georgia. Who am I forgetting? Maryland's up there.
PA football's not bad.
PA.
Western PA especially.
Mm-hmm. Who am I? Florida. Forgot Florida. California. States like that, right? There's so much of an emphasis on high school football, especially here, because we don't have a lot here. There's not a lot of opportunity here. So in terms of making it, parents often put like an emphasis on their kids. And as a result, if their kids aren't doing good, they start blaming other people. Yeah. They blame you, the kicker, for example, if you missed a PAT, when in reality it has nothing to do with their child. And in reality, it didn't really affect the game that much because there's so many other things that the team did wrong if they lose.
Yeah, I can't really say much about the parents because, again, I work for Wives in Life, so I kind of have to keep it a little bit on down low. I will say one thing. They put too much pressure on their kids for all that.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, with anxiety and if you're throwing up before games, there's a lot of stuff that it's not your fault.
No, my dad never got into a camp at all about trying to start me at all. No, he said if you want bench him, bench him. If you want to rip his finger off for doing the money team, rip his finger off for doing the money team. Like he said stuff like that because he knew he wasn't the one to control the coaches.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean.
I feel like that's a lot of problems right now. We have a lot of problems with entitlement in our culture.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Kemp podcast. He talked about political correctness, where he has to tone down, kind of like when we weren't there. You know, he didn't have to do that. He could say what he wants, but nowadays you gotta say you can't say this or you can't say that.
Yeah. Well, in regards to me and what I want to do in my career, I don't really do the whole politically correct thing. There's a couple words I stay away from because they're like legit slurs and they truly do offend people. So I don't do that. But in terms of protecting people and like their feelings, that's really not my space.
No, I agree.
I really don't do that. But my intent's never to hurt people's feelings at all. So I get where he was coming from. But yeah, going back to what I said, there's like a lack of accountability. Yeah. For whatever reason, people, parents aren't disciplining their kids. No. And I'm not talking about hitting kids. I think that's probably one of the worst things to do.
And they want to get in fights in high school, or youth sports. And I've seen that happen where parents want to talk trash about their kid or talk trash about the other kid's kid or something like that. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, here's the thing. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to be honest over here. I'm not trying to, offend any parents. 1% or 2% are probably going to go to the MLB to be successful.
Oh, it's 1%.
Yeah, 1%.
It's extremely, it's probably less than 1%. Yeah. It's extremely hard. Yeah. MLB, NBA, NFL, literally.
Well, the MLB is even harder, I feel like, than the NBA and NFL.
I feel like NBA is hardest just because you have a maximum amount of 15 players on a roster regular season, 12 in the playoffs. MLB, what's the amount of people that you have on a roster?
I don't think it's even that, but you have to be called up because you have to make the minors too. Like when you're drafted, you have to be you're still actually in college when you're drafted technically. Mm-hmm. I know this actually because it's weird. One of the cousins I don't even really know. Apparently he's baseball player for NC State, so you probably know this a lot better. And I never really, I think, met him. He's on my grandma's side, so I don't think I'd even met him then. But he plays for NC State, so I imagine with him, it's like I've never asked him about this, and maybe I'd get him on the pod sometimes so we could talk about this. That'd be pretty sweet, but I imagine he would know a lot more about this than both me and you would about how they would be drafted and just the process and all that.
100%, definitely. Everybody, subscribe to the OB Talkwire right now while we remember. Yeah. Subscribe. We need more subscribers.
Sponsorship because fake it till we make it. Celsius Live Fit.
Show the label. You got to show the label off.
Show the label off. Celsius Live Fit. What do you got?
I just have Red Bull. It just tastes good. I'm not really going.
Are you going to get wings after this? Are you going to grow wings?
I don't really get
like on the commercials.
I don't really get the high or the caffeine rush.
I'm looking at the thing right now. We're an hour 25. Dude, you beat the Kemp episode. How about that?
No way. That's awesome. I hope I'm not overstaying.
No, you're fine. I mean, usually my episodes last like an hour, but the Kemp one was like hour 13 because we just kept on talking. Dude, I mean, that conversation once again going back to it because he again off air told me a lot of stuff and
we don't have to discuss that on air.
No, definitely not. But I mean, it's understandable where he was coming from, and you saw it too. When you played it,
man. It was, and he kind of alluded to it in season. He would say, a couple people don't want me back, but as long as I'm here, I'm going to be here for you. Something to that extent. Yeah, great man. He was a great coach.
How about Ursuline now though? D3.
Yeah, my brother, going into sophomore year, they're all going to be playing. Obviously, better competition in the playoffs. They already have a decent schedule. I would say probably when we were there, they had a harder schedule. Yeah. Playing a couple state champions a year.
I'm just saying, none of these kids are going to know about the Akron Hope and what's it's like playing them.
Yeah.
We played against Akron Hope, and they were tough. You know what I mean?
They're always tough. I don't think we scored a single point against them. I see.
No, you did. 56-28.
Okay, then that was junior year, right?
Yeah, that'd be your junior year.
Yes, my junior year.
And we nearly actually beat them my senior year, and then we blew a whole collapse lead in the fourth quarter.
That was when, correct me if I'm wrong, what was the guy's name?
Danny Clark.
He was committed to Ohio State at the time.
He had Ohio State tattoo, actually, and then he decommitted right to Kentucky.
To Kentucky, Danny Clark. Oh, boy. They had Nolan Rumler. He was the center. I think he's the center. He was my age. He plays for Michigan now. They had a running back that went to Pitt, if I remember correctly. One of the safeties, ironically, that was guarding me went to Navy.
Was this like my senior year, or was this your senior year?
The Navy one was my junior year. Okay. They had a tight end. I want to say he was committed to Alabama.
And this was your junior year.
This is all throughout the whole 3 years, bro.
Dude, that was nuts.
Well, they went back to back to back.
Yeah.
3?
Yeah. I don't know how we almost beat them. I know we kind of collapsed on the fourth quarter, but we were close. I remember my senior year, and we lost one. I think 27-0 my junior year to them too. The
problem was your senior year, my sophomore year. I don't think it was the problem with the leadership at all. There were a lot of good leaders there. Had 65 kids. It was mid to upper 60s. That wasn't the problem. I feel like the problem was
we were in every game, dude.
I feel
if we just finished all those games, at least 2 more or 3 more, we've been in the playoffs.
Well, I feel like it was the injuries that piled up, and unfortunately, that's just a part of football. Everybody's always, to an extent, injured. You have a little nick here and there, but when it came to the legit injuries, there were just a lot, and I feel like couldn't really overcome that. So,
how was it playing wide receiver? You liked it a lot. You already said. Was it hard, kind of the memorizing routes for you, or was it a little easy?
For me, when it came to plays, football, basketball, it always came a little bit harder because there was anxiety for what if I mess up? What if I'm not? And for me, when I messed up, I got chewed out. So, but I don't want to say take offense, but that stuff doesn't really bother me because
Who was your wide receiver coach?
It's Coach Captain, and then Coach Sam.
Captain Sam. Oh, I know Sam probably chewed you out pretty well. Sam's nice, but if he is mad, he gets mad.
No, that was my guy. That was my favorite coach ever.
That's Coach.
Coach Kemp's right under Coach Sam, but I was just closer to Coach Sam. He also coached the safeties, and I had much more fun playing safety my senior year. It took a little bit because it was my first year playing, because I started junior and senior year, I started receiver. I didn't really get the ball thrown to me that much just because we were running offense more so back in the day. And then we had James Phillips. I forgot to include. He went on to play football at Western Michigan.
I don't know if he's still there now.
No, he's not. He's not there anymore. But obviously, Division I athlete, hell of a player, hell of a kid, man. He's great. But he got the ball thrown to him most of the time, which is fine. I don't really feel a way about it. I got the ball enough senior year and stuff like that. But I felt like I kind of thrived disrupting things, I should say, because you play safety. Obviously, there's coverage. You're trying to get the ball. You're trying to hit stuff like that. But I didn't really truly learn it until the last 5 games of my senior year. So, but those 5 games were great. When you know what you're doing and stuff like that, and anything in life, you feel much more comfortable. It's like studying before a test. If you study, you feel more prepared. Therefore, psychologically, you're more likely to do well. It's stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like now they moved to the D3. I feel like that was even harder because now, again, I feel like their schedule's so much easier than it was before. But again, I'm doing Niles games this year. I don't know if you know about that. I'm doing Niles football games for YSN, for Cap and all that. They fell to D4, so I was hoping they would stay D3 because imagine Niles Ursuline playoff. But
that'd be cool.
The Kemp revenge.
That'd be cool. My buddies and I that played football with me, graduated with me same year. We've been saying we got to get to a Niles game just to rep Kemp. But we haven't been able to for whatever reason. So hopefully we'll be able to in the future because, like I said, he's a great guy. He's a great coach. I was very angry when he quote unquote resigned.
Yeah, quote unquote resigned, but now it's just they're doing good now.
Oh, of course. When you have Reardon, I believe, really if I'm not wrong, and I may be wrong, but senior year when he came in, there were rumors he was making $50,000 for teaching and $50,000 for coaching.
I don't know if the diocese pays that much.
But boosters, you never know.
Boosters do everything.
Yeah. So, and
look how they lowered the schedule too a little bit though. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That first year wasn't easy by any means.
No. But
after that, they got a lot better.
And kudos to Reardon, bro. He did a good job with what was handed to him. Obviously, they went to the state championship last year, so they've been successful. That's not to diminish Coach Kemp at all, because they weren't doing him any favors when he was the head coach.
Yeah.
And now you see more players that Urson's letting in because of Reardon.
And also the AD too, JD.
Yeah.
AD,
and it makes
you a really great job.
Mm-hmm. It makes you truly wonder, like, if they did the same thing for Coach Kemp, what would happen?
But they weren't. I feel like they just wanted him out. Kind of feel like,
which sucks.
Yeah. And again, he discussed it on the show, and I was glad he did that because it was. I didn't know if he wanted to go through with it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Vince Moore showing shot the man, and he texted me, he's like, "Hey, maybe you should overthink it. Ask him real quick. I'll ask him, see what he thinks over here." But no, he was cool with it, and that was the most viewed episode. Like, not even like short wise, like the most viewed right now.
Yeah.
Until you pass it.
Oh, I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I feel like people might get too much out of me.
No, so real quick, you also said when we were having technical difficulties all that, you got to talk real quick about the Chardon thing when Ursuline played them.
Oh, did that get out? Did we lose it in the technical difficulties?
I think we lost some technical difficulties, maybe.
All right. Well, basically, a couple friends and I, we went to a game, an Ursuline football game, because all of our little brothers were playing in the game. Whether or not they were at the bench or not was another thing, but they were all there.
Bench warmers.
Yeah. So we wanted to support. So it was like 4 of us. We rode out to Chardon and we watched, but we didn't want to sit with the student section
in the boonies
or on Ursuline side, because we didn't want to look like super seniors. I mean, at that time we were 3 years removed from high school, so we didn't want to look like that. So what we did, we went to the Chardon student section, and we kind of sat like 20 feet, like in the upper corner. So we wanted to leave and beat that fourth quarter crowd. So we left probably early fourth quarter, and we saw they were like doing like a t-shirt toss with like Chardon, like high school shirts.
Kind of like what you would see at like a football game.
And who doesn't want a free shirt?
or something like that.
Yeah, who doesn't want a free shirt? I want a free shirt.
High schools don't do much of that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're gonna it says Chardon, and then it's got the little Nike swoosh. Okay, whatever. So I go up to the guy who's in the student section. He's probably like 16 years old. He's a kid, whatever. They're all kids. I'm not saying I'm an adult, but I go up to him and I ask, will we be able to get a free shirt? And he goes, "Oh, like a free shot?" And he opens up his coat, and he's got like 5 like fireball like chasers, the little bottles, right? He gives one to me, he gives one to my friend. So we're like, I guess we have to chug it. So we open it, we chug it, right? The crowd, the student section goes nuts. We're all hyping them up. They're like, "You guys go here?" We're like, "Yeah, we graduated 6 years ago." We're all hyping them up, right? It's fantastic. And then all of a sudden, Brady gets a snap, and obviously Ursuline's quarterback. He gets the snap, and because the crowd noise is so loud, he throws a pick. And I'm like, oh, we just lost the game for them. I felt like it was my fault, man.
It's like how you felt it was your fault when you joined our losing seasons.
Yeah. Literally, I joined. They went to the state semifinals. First year I joined, it was the year after they went to the state semifinals. So they were 3-7. Next year, my junior year, 2-8. Next year, senior year, 1-9. I don't feel a certain way about it. They don't tease me. It was whatever. Yeah. I had fun playing. I don't regret my time playing. It was really fun. So.
Are you big? So what other sports? I mean, I was talking to you earlier about NASCAR. I didn't know if you're a NASCAR guy.
I'm really not. I mean, if it's there, I'll watch it. I will say in terms of expanding.
A lot of people are like, I think I'll get a NASCAR, bro, because they know I'm a NASCAR. They're like, I got to get into it and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys missed out when it was in its prime. Back in like 2006, he competed with the NFL in ratings.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like, it was super good back then. I like it now, but declined. A lot of drivers retire, going to have that. Also, leadership was terrible, though.
I mean, you have that when it comes to, like, the NBA, for example, after Jordan retired, they had a problem with the ratings until really LeBron came. So you have those. It goes up and down. NASCAR should be fine. I feel like it's really popular, especially down south. There's a lot of I feel like it's more geared towards people who are conservative for whatever the reason.
Not anymore. They do a lot of stuff like, gay pride that they're doing. Like, that supports, of course, the left likes the time. They've been supporting that a little more.
I mean, you got to go back and forth. You have to cater to different markets and stuff.
And they have Bubba Wallace too. That's big on the African American community.
Yeah, I feel like for whatever the reason, there's a decline of viewership. You got to go to like different people with different beliefs. That's cool. So I don't blame them. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But in terms of like me, I've taken an interest in golf. I enjoy golf. Really?
We talked about the Live Tour. I mean, do you watch a lot of golf like PGA?
I know, but you know what? I'm not gonna lie. As I've taken this interest in playing golf, if it's on, I'll watch it for a couple minutes.
It's fun watching golf, especially the Masters, the U.S. Open. It's one of the best times.
Because you picture that as like you. You're like, holy crap! Like if this person can do that, then I could drive the ball 500 yards.
It takes a lot more time. I used to be super good. I used to be super good back in the day before I went to play football. But like I was a big time golfer. Got a hole in one in short holes. Nearly got one at stand all long.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I was pretty good.
I was in a golfing tournament with my uncle, his nephew, and my uncle's nephew's friend at Mole Run. This was 2 weeks ago. Dude, it was awesome.
I saw your Snapchat. You were like, I love golf. You got like a Miller in your hand and everything.
It's so great, bro. Let me tell you about this setup. Okay, so it was at No Run. It was the one that Ursuline the football players worked when you were seniors, right? So you go there. We got there a little bit early, so we were just talking. We were shooting the shit, whatever. Okay, then you get there, you get past your sign up, whatever, and they had coolers. Okay, so you had Bud Light, Budweiser, Miller Lite. You had Michelob's, literally everything, bro. What was the other one?
Did they have Busch beer?
There wasn't Busch. What was the other one? I'm missing it.
Keystone Light.
No, it was
cheap beer.
It was, who cares? Anyway, there were a bunch of beer, right, and coolers, right. Then they had water, okay, and then at certain holes, they would give you free shots. Free shots of Fireball, free shots of Crown, Tito's, 1942, whatever you wanted, it was there. It was all put on by the Firefighters Association. It was to raise money for them. And my uncle, like he said, he owns...
One shot for a firefighter.
Yeah, it was free, bro. Jello shots, everything. It was crazy. And my uncle, like I said before, owns a printing business, like saluted, like I said, anything. Shirts, billboards, wraps, cars. It's a bunch of stuff. He's always busy. And so his business, like, sponsored, the cart that we had. And it was great. So I had a nice time. I'd been going to the driving ranges, been working on my swing, and
which range do you go to? Chippers. That's why. That's the cheapest one, I feel like.
Yeah, $5 for 40 balls. Nothing better.
I tried to go there. I think it was like 3 months, like when it was all starting, but they were doing renovation, and then I wanted to like get a good golf game going, but then it was like morning. I think a game to do afternoon. I'm just like, because I tried to go to Kensington, and like range is closed till 10. Which is weird because the golf course is open like 6 a.m., but the range is not open till like 10.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like that in general, chippers in general, that's a good, solid way to make a lot of money passively. Because like literally there's nobody that works there. It's all automated.
Yeah, and the one dude who takes all that lives like, there's that woods area, lives like
he lives right there. Yeah, we had an issue with the balls and stuff like that. The ball distributor got jammed.
You ever take like some of the balls that you just see lying right there?
Only the ones that were mine.
Yeah.
Which was quite a few. But no, I've got a little bit better. But going back to the golf outing, I felt like I played better buzz.
Oh, I'd imagine so.
It was weird.
A lot of people, I think, played better buzz. Like
it's my uncle's theory, but it's my theory too. Now that he said that, so when you're buzz/drunk and you're good at playing a sport, then you get worse. But if you're buzz/drunk and you're bad at a sport, you get better. Which is crazy.
So I'll have to try it sometime. Maybe for golf again.
Dude. Definitely, at least try it. I'm not saying that people should get drunk on the podcast, but it's crazy. There was this one time senior year where it was a snow day.
On the podcast or playing golf, or both.
They could be listened to and practicing. They could be. I have another scenario kind of geared towards that, or story rather. There's this one time senior year. I'm not going to name the guy. Because
no, of course. I have a problem with name dropping too, so I don't better at that.
I don't name drop at all. But it was a snow day, so we went to go play basketball at Borman Y, and a ton of people were there, obviously, because it was a snow day. So I pick him up, and it's about noon, right? Yeah. The day practically just started, for a high school kid. He comes out with like 4 bush lights in his hand. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm already 3 deep. So he goes on and I don't want to say he's not bad at basketball, but he's not a good shooter. At least wasn't a good shooter at the time. And he was 7 beers in, and literally
7 beers.
He was playing drunk.
Wait, did he drove you?
No, I picked him up.
Okay, I was about to say, like, if that was dangerous.
Nah, listen, that was my boy at the time. I wasn't about to let anything happen to him. But yeah, bro, he was playing drunk and he was playing great. So I was like, huh. And like I said, he's not bad at basketball at all, but he wasn't a good shooter at the time. He was knocking down everything. So it was crazy, bro. So that theory might be true.
Could be. Yeah. Well, we'll just have to find out what happens with that. But LP Money, any more thoughts that you want to have?
Thank you for having me on. It's been fantastic.
Dude, anytime you want to come on, you know what I mean? I mean, you want me on your show again? I know we've been talking about that. This is a great crossover episode for the Luke Pipala show, you know what I mean? Once again, subscribe to his channel is it the Luke Pipala show? You can start checking it out right now.
You can find me on the Luke Pipala show on YouTube, Instagram. I'm on every streaming platform in terms of like just audio. Instagram, my personal one is just at Luke Pipala. There's no dashes, hashtags, dots, whatever. It's just that. I mean, if you want to put that on my Snapchat too.
Of course. Hey, we have only, I think, 3% of women that listen to the podcast so far. I'm trying to get like a lot more like sport figures that are like women. Like I know a couple that everyone.
I love women. I love women. They're great.
Everyone does, but no. In all seriousness, I want to get like a couple on because I want make a diverse with it because I feel like it's a lot of guys that just listen. I want to get like a lot more, like it being like a mixture of both. You know what I mean? Because I think that would be really good for like.
How about this? I have a fan that I DM, or she DMs me, and she's like, "Yeah, I really enjoy your content. I fell asleep to your podcast last night." I'm like, "No way!"
Fell asleep to it.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
No, I mean, no. For like just background noise, But no, she seems like she's like legit a fan, not like messing around.
Oh, that's perfect.
So yeah, that it kind of made me feel good. But yeah, Snapchat LP Money_44. Twitter just at Luke Pipala. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it. And once again, I want to thank Riverside FM for the recording over here. Yes, a little technical difficulties, but I get that figured out for the most part. You know what I mean? And we've got the nice microphone over here that I had for 2 episodes now, and it's been working pretty good. And the new camera, I mean, it's little, but it's 1080p.
That's not bad.
For a little camera that was like at Ollie's bargain outlet for like $30, maybe $34.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. I mean, you can't really beat that for now for how low budget everything is. You know what I mean?
Bro.
I mean,
this is a good setup for being low budget too.
Yeah, well, it's my brother's stuff too. I usually travel around. Like, I mean, I think my best other one was like in Niles, honestly, which is the background that was there too.
And you didn't hear anything there in terms of like an old air conditioner, lifting weights, nothing. It was really cool.
Because they actually started practice in the morning. Everyone was out by then when I did a count.
I gotcha. Smart.
Yeah. So that's why I kept saying anytime like after 1 p.m. and we did like that. T's plays, you didn't hear a lot of that either and stuff like that. So that was pretty good as well. But once again, thank you, Riverside FM, really good sponsor. Fake it till we make it with Celsius once again and Red Bull.
Yeah, so
why not Red Bull?
Sponsorship with Crown and Manscaped, but we're currently here with Red Bull.
Yeah, and we're currently here Celsius Live Fit. I saw it on Mo Cappy's Instagram reel that I've been trying to get him on the show because he works for NIL, and he's like, "I'll be your 100th episode." Well. Figures. Why can't it be my episode just now? But I'm trying to get others on. Prado, my former boss in YSU, might be coming on, hopefully. He might be getting a job in Indiana. I don't know yet. But dude worked for the 49ers and for the Tennessee Titans at the time. Wow. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. Wow. With like Steve McNair and Kaepernick as quarterback. So you can't beat that at all. And Coach Fisher and Harbaugh, he could probably tell a bunch of stories like that. I'm trying to, get him on, a few other guests possibly on here. That would be really big as well. So we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, been DMing some. Hopefully they reply. I know it's kind of rare with some big famous people, but
you got to work hard for that.
Gotta definitely work hard.
Listen,
but hey,
definitely just keep doing what you're doing.
You too, man.
Don't quit because a lot of people they follow their dream and then they see not as much success as they want before, early on, and so as a result they just stop doing it. But don't quit.
As a man said before, not dead, can't quit.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out Armenia.
Yeah, shout out Armenia right there, not dead. And again, it's not name dropping if you get them a shout out. You know what I mean? No, definitely not. So gotta give a shout out to that right there, though. Not dead, can't quit. But LP Money, thank you for coming on, good sir.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, the announcement, episode 10. Hopefully, it's gonna be Mark Prado, and we'll see when it can happen. And that might be recorded tomorrow. Once again, that probably won't be uploaded until I want to say somewhere next week. Same with this one, just because I'm still trying to get some clips out from the one I did Ryan Tomeski. If you didn't already catch that episode, that was episode number 8. That was a really good conversation with T the Punter. And then in a few days, this one will be uploaded over here with LP Money, the host of the Luke Pipala Show. But once again, thank you for coming on, my man.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
If you're an older woman, hit me up.
Hey, my mom might be watching this. Relax now. He's kidding. Don't worry about him. It won't be worse than what my brother basically said F2 buying a bunch of times on the pod. It won't be that worse. So, once again, though, everyone, thank you so much for coming on, for listening to the broadcast, and I'll see you all next time. Once again, I want to thank my man LP Money, aka Luke Pipala, for coming on to the podcast. You can check him out once again at Luke Pipala on Instagram, Luke Pipala on Twitter, The Luke Pipala Show on Instagram for some good old reels. And tell you what, his reels are exploding right now. And you can find his episodes, once again, episode 1 through 20 on YouTube. He started out, once again, small like I did. Well, even though I started video, he started only audio, then got right to video when it all started, and it's just taken off. That podcast. Gotta give a shout out to the whole group that's been working on it, doing an excellent job. But once again, find him out on YouTube, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it may be. Such a great guy. One of the GOATs that I know. Makes a really great podcast, really great content. Has a bunch of guests on too, like I do. And it was just an amazing time having him here. Of course, once again, his football career was a pretty good wide receiver as well. Started, of course, his junior year. So that's always a good thing when you get a former wide receiver on and stuff. Like, we've had kickers on a couple times. Now we had a wide receiver on. I had to ask him if it was hard or not. And he said it is challenging a little bit sometimes. So that's always, it's always good finding out about these other positions that they played. But the next guest tomorrow, it's going to be a really good one. Daniel Mininock, now a YSU grad student coach for the Youngstown State Penguins, former player at Newcastle, and he overcome a lot, definitely. We're going to talk a lot about that tomorrow on the show. When it's going to be uploaded, of course, when this episode's going to be uploaded. The next one with Mininock probably going to be uploaded around next week. Film tomorrow. That's going to be really good talking to him about that. And it's just going to be a great episode. I hope you all listen to that one when it does come out in the next week. But for now, listen to LP Money and OB Talkwire crossover here. And once again, I want to thank Luke Pipala for coming on. Follow him once again at the Luke Pipala Show. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube. Check him out. And also, check out the OB Talkwire on YouTube, Anchor Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast. So once again, want to thank everyone for tuning in. Love the support so far, and I'll see you all next time.